Hi, it's your old coffin dodger back here again. I don't know why it is, but I'm in quite a patriotic mood at the moment. You do get times like that, don't you? I lived away from home up on 40 years and I felt quite patriotic at times. I never felt the urge to change my citizenship. I lived in Germany and but my heart was always, my roots were always in Ireland. And so you'd have times there, especially when you'd have a few Guinness, when you'd be feeling quite patriotic and you'd be so proud to be Irish and everything it meant to be Irish, like, going to the pub, the green fields of Ireland, the hospitality, the open doors, the music, the song, the religion even, that I always looked forward to coming home for all this patriotic stuff and really to stand up and be proud to be Irish, as I did also in Germany when the occasion rose. At the moment, it seems to be kind of something not quite desirable to be proud to be Irish and to even claim that we have our own identity and that identity is under attack. Well, it has been under attack for years and years, but at the moment it is so much under attack that you barely can speak about it without being accused of hate speech or about being hostile towards visitors. Now, Ireland was never hostile towards visitors. We were the ones here who welcomed everybody, and the doors were open all the time. Anybody could drop in and have a cup of tea, whether you knew them or whether they were just going by your house and asking for directions. In the countryside in particular, that would happen a lot, and we had no fear of foreign people in the country. But now things are changing because our government has decided to change the identity of our country and turn it into what they are calling a multicultural society. And they are doing that without even asking the permission of the citizens of Ireland, of the population. I mean, probably most people would say yes anyway, because we are that brainwashed that we say yes to everything, because no is the hardest word in our vocabulary, especially Irish vocabulary, because we are so accommodating, we are so nice, so good, that we find it very hard to say no anyway. And anyone who has children will know how hard it is to say no. We might say no, but say no once or twice, but if the child keeps nagging, we will turn around and we will say yes. And that is what is happening to our society and what has been happening for years and years and years. We say no to some things that we don't want happening, that we don't want to embrace, but we get nagged and nagged and nagged, and we end up saying yes. But inside, we are not really happy about it. Large percentage of us are not happy about this multicultural thing being inflicted upon us. It would be like, they said there in Ballinamore there a couple of weeks ago, they wanted to be consulted before a couple of families were transplanted and plonked into the middle of the town. I mean, that's not even fair to the foreigners, to these people, just to take them like a herd of cattle and put them in the middle of a town and expose them to the whatever mood the town is in at the time and people are in. I mean, you just don't do that. So anyway, that's why I'm in a patriotic mood this evening. So I'm going to start off the national anthem, and it is sung by a man called John McDermott. I don't know if he has any claim on royalties or anything like that. I think the national anthem is in public ownership, just the voice of John McDermott. I want to mention that here and say thank you for it. Got it on YouTube and just recorded it. So off we go first with the national anthem, and then I will begin with a little bit of chat.
we'll sing a song, a soldier's song, with cheering, rousing chorus, as round our blazing fires we throng, the starry heavens o'er us, impatient for the coming fight, and as we wait the morning's light, here in the silence of the night, we'll chant a soldier's song. Soldiers are we, whose lives are pledged to Ireland. Some have come from a land beyond the wave, sworn to be free, no more our ancient Ireland shall shelter the despot or the slave. Tonight we man the Barnabill, in Erin's cause come woe or will, mid cannons roar and rifles peal, we'll chant a soldier's song.
The fact that we have a national anthem here in Ireland implies that we have a nation. So if we didn't have a nation, we wouldn't have a national anthem. And it's so interesting today because what I'm looking at today is that a person was allowed to swear by Allah that they were going to do such and such thing and whatever. So I started off first thinking of the Constitution of Ireland, and then I thought something about the nation. Are we still a sovereign nation? Has that been made obsolete in my absence of mind? So I'm not so sure, but it says here anyway, soldiers are we whose lives are pledged to Ireland. So we are pledged to Ireland. We are not pledged to the Middle East. We are not pledged to globalist agenda. Not yet anyway. So today I'm just going to have a quick look at a couple of things here in the Constitution of Ireland. And in the preamble it says, in the name of the Most Holy Trinity, from whom is all authority, and to whom, as our final end, all actions both of men and states must be referred. We, the people of Éire, humbly acknowledge all our obligations to our divine Lord Jesus Christ, who sustained our fathers through centuries of trial, gratefully remembering their heroic and unremitting struggle to regain the rightful independence of our nation. There we are, nation. And seeking to promote the common good with due observance of prudence, justice and charity, so that the dignity and freedom of the individual may be assured, true social order attained, the unity of our country restored, that'd be nice, and concord established with other nations. Do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Now that's a very important sentence. Do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. And I've emphasized before that the Constitution is not given to us by the government. The government is subordinate to the Constitution. And the Constitution was given to the people of Ireland, from the people of Ireland, for the people of Ireland. And everything else, all public services, all civil servants, we stand under the Constitution, and that is our guiding light. As I said, I was speaking about light in the last podcast, and that these things shine a light on the events from day to day, and the daily events that are happening now in Ireland. And because of today's oath that was taken by an Irish woman, because she swore on the Quran, our constitution is not built on Allah. There's no mention of him here. It says, in the name of the most holy Trinity, from whom is all authority, and to whom, as our final end, all actions both of men and states must be referred, not to Allah. So sorry there. So sorry. So we have this going on then in a court. I went then and looked at a judge's oath. What does that look like? Is there any mention of Allah there? So it says here, the oath sworn in public by all judges begins with the phrase, in the presence of the Almighty God, and ends with the phrase, may God direct and sustain me. It is also clear from the preamble of the Constitution that the God in question is very specifically the Christian God, and in particular the personage of Jesus Christ. Now, this is an article I found in the Irish Times. So the author of that would surely know what he was writing about. So I'll drop that link in the comment section below. Then I looked to see what a witness or a defendant or an accused is obliged to swear in a court of law in Ireland. The evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So what I'm asking you and me today is, when did all this change? When did we start swearing to Allah? And somebody told me there earlier that this is actually common practice in courts in Ireland. And I'd be wondering, can somebody answer that question for me, please? Because this is very disturbing. And even more disturbing for me is that this is an Irish terrorist who crossed over to the worst terrorists that we know at present, identified wholly and fully with them, married one of them or more of them, I don't know. I think she was married 4 times, so she could have married 2 or 3 of them, as far as I know. And she pledges allegiance to these people. And then she comes back here and is allowed, because she pleads with the courts, to let her be together with her daughter over Christmas. They are so compassionate. They're allowing her to be with her daughter. Whereas 2 doors down, you might say, is another woman who has been locked up in Mountjoy jail for wanting to be with her son for Christmas. Now, where is the justice in that? Now, and the woman that wants to be with her son for Christmas, she hasn't actually committed any crime. She might have broken a rule here or there, but I think she's well justified in having broken these rules because she was worried about her child. The terrorist didn't seem to be all too worried about her child when she was out there training up to kill people wherever she was, in camps, and there's pictures of her with guns. So she's allowed out for Christmas. For Christmas, mind you, we're talking here about a Muslim woman to whom Christmas means nothing, because that is the birth of Jesus Christ. So what difference does it make whether she's at home or not at home? Is the child a Christian? For goodness sake, what kind of a country is this? I am going completely nuts here. So, and then we had, the last couple of days, we've been hearing about social workers and their work ethos, and how one particular social worker was actually in cahoots with her own husband and sending her clients, people whom they deemed to be not worthy, not smart enough, not good enough to look after their own kids just because they were heroin addicts 10 years ago at this stage. They have to go to a psychologist. And who is the psychologist? It's her own husband. She's got the ones she takes the kids away from, and then she sends them over to her husband for a report. I mean, can we really trust the fact that he's going to be impartial? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not from what we know about these kind of things and this kind of corruption here in Ireland, and it is corruption. It's corruption in a big way. Talking about corruption, it's really interesting. I got chatting to a woman there the other day. I always get chatting to people when we're hanging around and waiting for something, or if people have time. I like to find out what they think and what their opinion is on current affairs and stuff like that. So we got chatting, and she was in agreement as well that the country is in a terrible state and that we shouldn't be voting for the same parties over and over again. But she said, who on earth can we vote for? So I kind of educated her on the different parties that are out there, and I told her how I myself would identify more or most with Anti-Corruption Ireland, and that was run by Gemma O'Doherty, and that she was now standing for elections. And she said, is that the journalist who exposed Martin Callanan with his penalty points? And I thought, oh my gosh, this woman is really informed, because I didn't even know that. But then this woman is native Irish, and she has been living in Ireland all these years and probably pays more attention, or paid more attention at the time, to what was going on there. So she actually is aware that Gemma O'Doherty is a journalist and was exposing corruption and was fired for it. But she's not the only one that I know of. I know of many, many more who are very dissatisfied with the current situation, who are very fearful of the future, especially those who have small children. They're very, very worried, very concerned about the future for their children, especially with all the indoctrination that is going on, especially with forced vaccines and forced this and forced that, in such a way that the parents have hardly any input into the bringing up of their children. And they would be very happy to vote for somebody else. So hopefully we will have candidates here in Cavan for the upcoming elections who will stand for free speech and for freedom, and in the long run for an exit from the European Union, because this is going to be our downfall. Anyway, that is why I am giving this podcast or vodcast. The title is Justitia Faking Blindness, because justice is supposed to be blind. That's why you will always see the sculptures of Justitia blindfolded outside or above court portals. For those of you who don't know who Justitia is, she is also known as Lady Justice. That's the more modern version of it, but she was the Roman goddess of justice, and she is blindfolded because she's not supposed to look at whether a person is rich or poor, what influence they have in society, what position they are in, whether they are rich or poor or not. So that's why she's blindfolded. But that's just an explanation. And that's why I'm asking, is she faking blindness at the moment? And she also carries scales, which of course we all know what scales are. They balance out. And a sword. Of course, we know the word is a sword. The verdict is some kind of a sword. So that's Justitia anyway, as much as I know about her. Because there seems to be one set of rules for some people and another set for other people. But that's my opinion. And I think it's the opinion of several others as well. It's not just my opinion. You see, for the past couple of weeks, I have been observing comments about Boris Johnson, and for the past couple of years, watching and observing comments about Donald Trump, President of America. And no matter how rude it gets, there was one picture on recently of toilet paper with a picture of Boris Johnson on it. on the toilet paper. You sometimes find that people have done that with dollar notes and things like that. But to me, I find it very hard to be tolerant of that. But I just keep my mouth shut, more or less. Then I saw another picture of a dog shitting on a picture of Boris Johnson. And the things that are said about Trump, to Trump, around Trump, they are so horrific sometimes that I don't know why Facebook doesn't step in with their hate speech laws. I don't know why the government doesn't consider this to be hate speech, but they don't, you see. And that's why I can get quite cross at times when I see how a terrorist, a woman terrorist, who has crossed over every single line over to the terrorist camp of ISIS, been favoured over everybody else, or the small criminal who might steal a loaf of bread, off they go to prison. And then when I post something about that, then I get accused of hatred and hate speech. But I guarantee you, if I did the same about Donald Trump and his impeachment thing, there wouldn't be a word about it. I'd be getting claps on the shoulder. But anyway, I wanted to end up on a lighter note, and I'm going to read a comment out to you that was posted to my own post on Facebook there the other day about Lisa Smith. Roman men considered that they had sworn an oath if they held their testicles in their hands while swearing. This included the oath to tell the truth before giving testimony in court. Only real men, in swearing on their potency, were expected to tell the truth. The evidence of women and eunuchs was not believed under the law because they could not be fully trusted. The truth could not be expected or known by those who did not possess testicles. Roman culture was phallocentric. Possession of the truth was more assured if one had testicles. Access to logic and command of knowledge was favoured if one had a phallus and with it testicles. It has been suggested that the word testimony and testify originate from testicles. However, they come from test, which means witness, the one who stands by. Thank you very much for that, Gabriel. I said I was going to mention it in the podcast, and you didn't object, so that's it now. This is yours. Until next time, I shall love you and leave you. Look after yourselves and look out for one another.
And I've lived on these lonesome plains, just holding my breath, waiting for these winds to carry me away. But do I understand? Do I understand? exhausted my welcoming for too long ago. Yet I'll stick to these hardened plains, 'cause I think they know what I mean. I think they understand.